He speaks like a visionary. His eyes shimmer with purpose. But his life? A series of unfinished dreams and poetic excuses. He avoids responsibility in the name of freedom, but deep down he's not free. He's afraid of failure, of adulthood, of being ordinary. You've met him. Maybe you loved him. Maybe you are him. Welcome to Stoic Blendware. Ancient wisdom meets modern life. Today, we uncover the hidden shadow behind the eternal boy, the man who refuses to grow up. You know someone like this. He's full of ideas, bursting with ambition, fueled by dreams that feel bigger than life. He talks endlessly about what he will create, who he will become, and where he's headed. But none of it ever happens. There's always a reason, always an excuse. It wasn't the right time, he says. The world's not ready for me, he insists. Maybe he's that childhood friend who never left the starting line, or a younger brother who refuses to take life seriously. Maybe he's your partner, or your father, a grown man who behaves like a boy, emotionally unstable, commitment phobic, always chasing freedom and running from responsibility. This is not just a personality flaw. It's a deeply rooted archetype, long ago identified by Stoic thinkers and echoed through time, the eternal child. He lives in transition, always preparing, but never starting. His charm is disarming. He's spontaneous, creative, and vibrant. But behind the sparkle, there's a shadow. That shadow is his inability to cope with reality. He expects the world to mold itself around his whims. He idolizes the perfect relationship, the perfect career, the perfect life. And when reality doesn't meet fantasy, he vanishes. He walks away from projects, from people, from himself. At the core, he believes he's too special to settle for a routine existence. But what really holds him back is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of disappointment, the fear of growing up. If you've ever tried to support someone like this, you know how draining it can be. Your advice is ignored, your encouragement wasted. You invest energy into a person who secretly doesn't want to change. And worse, he makes you feel guilty for trying, for demanding accountability, for refusing to live inside his almost. But the truth must be faced. This man isn't free. He's trapped in a fantasy dressed as freedom, a fantasy that slowly becomes a prison of fear and emotional paralysis. If he doesn't wake up, he'll grow old without ever having lived. This message isn't an attack, it's a mirror. And if you've made it this far, it means you see this pattern. Maybe in someone close, maybe in yourself. The man-child isn't just a quirky trait, it's a deep psychic script that plays silently in the background. It looks like charisma, spontaneity, rebellion, but it's actually a refusal to grow. He clings to the paradise of childhood, where life was soft and forgiving, where the mother figure handled the mess. He longs for a tomorrow filled with glory, yet never arrives in the present. Always waiting, always delaying. He jumps from job to job, claiming it's beneath him. He falls in love quickly but disappears when it gets real. He preaches spirituality but forgets to pay bills. He's not unintelligent, on the contrary. Many are brilliant, sensitive, creative, but they live in the clouds and reject the ground. They want to fly without wings, succeed without sweat, love without sacrifice. And when life doesn't hand it over, they lash out. Blame the world, blame their parents, blame life, but never themselves. The man-child suffers from a fractured relationship with time. He waits for the perfect moment, the perfect woman, the perfect phase. And while he waits, life passes him by. Yet within this immature figure lies potential, a creative spark, a youthful force. The problem isn't the inner boy, it's when the boy rules the man, when he sits on the throne and calls the shots. So, what happens when this immature energy darkens? At first he dazzles. He inspires. His presence is magnetic. He doesn't follow the rules and people admire that. But with time, what once seemed like freedom becomes absence. What felt like passion becomes instability. What appeared light turns out to be escape. And then his shadow creeps in. He forgets, misses deadlines, cancels plans, breaks promises, but all of it cloaked in poetic justifications. I'm not ready. I need space. It's just not the right time. But in truth, he's afraid of being ordinary, of being judged, of facing himself. Romantic partners suffer the most. They fall in love with his essence, but live with his absence. He says he wants a future, but never lays a single brick. Family watches him waste talent. Friends grow weary of endless support. He lives in emotional adolescence, a never-ending limbo, and here's the deepest twist rarely sees it. In fact, he often believes he's the only one who gets it. He labels the mature ones as sellouts and sees structure as betrayal. He isolates himself, convinced he's authentic when he's simply afraid. The man-child archetype thrives on unconscious denial. It isn't evil, it's immature, but left unchecked, it corrodes everything. And often, there's someone enabling it, a symbolic mother. Sometimes a real mother who coddled him. Sometimes a partner who unconsciously nurtures him like a child. These relationships feel warm but are rooted in control. They block growth, even when intentions seem loving. He doesn't want a partner. He wants a caretaker. Someone who accepts without expecting. Someone who forgives without questioning. And that comfort becomes poison. Because as long as he's being protected, he doesn't have to grow. He doesn't have to act, or decide, or lead. He remains a boy in a man's body waiting for someone else to do the work. To escape this cycle, something must break. The bond with the symbolic mother must be cut. Painful? Yes, but necessary. Because not growing hurts more than growing ever will. And that's the truth we must face. The man-child must die for. The man to be born. This doesn't mean killing off your creativity or joy. It means leading those gifts with discipline, with purpose, with grounded maturity. The inner boy can live on but under the guidance of the adult. Maturity means showing up when it's hard, staying when it's uncomfortable, committing when it's easier to run. It means embracing boredom, frustration, and limitation not as prisons but as tools that shape greatness. And here's the paradox. When you integrate the boy into the man, he doesn't disappear. He transforms into inspiration, vision, energy. But know it's anchored, directed, used with intention. That is real freedom. So what happens next? Many reach this realization and feel lost. They know they must change, but they don't know how. If that's where you are, this is your moment. The time of fantasy is over. The time of becoming begins. You won't feel ready. You won't have all the answers. That's okay. Because growth isn't about perfection. It's about decision, courage, choosing to face what you've spent years avoiding. The man-child is not your enemy, but he is your test. Will you continue to let him drive your life? Or will you finally take the wheel? You already know the answer. If this message hit home, don't leave in silence. Comment below with one truth that resonated. And if you're ready to take that next step, subscribe to Stoic Blend now. Join us in turning insight into action and wisdom into strength. Your journey doesn't start tomorrow. It starts here.